Hi there, I'm going to make a little attempt on doing some leaf analysis. I think this is going to be a very powerful technique when it comes to regenerative farming. It turns out when you study the subject that soil analysis really does not give you the whole truth. It gives you the truth for adding synthetic fertilizer, but it does hide a lot of facts that we need to know as regenerative farmers. As I understand, there's only a couple of three trace minerals, zinc, boron, and sulfur, I think, that actually correlates between soil analysis and sap analysis. Sap analysis being when you squeeze the juice out of the plant and do an analysis of the fluid. And so that's kind of interesting that you can have a soil report saying one thing and a SAP analysis saying something completely different, which for us in regenerative is an indication of soil biology not doing its job properly. So I'm going to try this in a pea field. I have a field over here. You can see what it says, peas, 25 hectares. There's 1 hectare of hemp there also, and there's 3 hectares of grassland, but we're gonna go from about here, take a picture and see what we can do there. A little bit of background from this field. It was sown April 17th with 250 kilos per hectare of peas. It's fodder peas, it's gonna be seeds. So and then this is the first year since I acquired this lease this year, March 15. This is the very first year that I'm doing anything at all. So it's first year for converting it, being in transition from conventional to organic. I've been applied for it. I have it certified organic, but there's 2 years that it needs to be in, what do you call it, quarantine or something like that. It takes 2 years before you get fully certified to be organic. I'm not just going organic, I'm going regenerative, so there's going to be some more things to look at, and I think the soil analysis may be a good help there. If we take a look at this picture from the actual field, this is, if you remember the point I showed you from the map, this is where we're standing and having a look out on the field. It's 25 hectares, so it's quite large field actually. And it's on the soil that's considered to be very good in the area. It's easy to till, if you want to till, and it's has a good average harvests on wheat and so on. I'm sure they get 8 to 10 tons here before. This is the first year, so I don't really know, but I would think 10 tons is not unusual here. But I am growing peas, and if we can try to zoom in a little bit on the picture and see what it's looking like. One thing you can see quite clearly on this picture is the leaves here. The veins are very much brighter than the surrounding leaf, and that is a strong indication of manganese deficiency, which is not surprising since this field has been conventionally farmed for probably 70-80 years, and it's very rare that you actually add manganese to the field. So, but at the same time, manganese does exist in the soil naturally. I haven't done a soil test yet, but I would suspect you would find that it does exist in the soil, but it's not up in the leaves. A sap analysis here, which I haven't done yet either, would probably indicate a manganese deficiency. And I wouldn't be surprised to see manganese being in the soil but not in the plant, which it would indicate that the soil biology is not working properly, which is kind of natural after all these years of synthetic inputs. So this, I think, would motivate a foliar application of manganese. I am not going to do that for reasons I'm going to come back to, but just for now it would motivate a manganese foliar application. when we look at some more stuff here, like the internodes, the length between the nodes on the plant. Let's see if I have a better picture. Maybe this one is more easy to see. Yeah. The length of the internodes. You see all these internodes and the petioles. They are very long, and that is, you would probably say, oh, that looks healthy, it looks very nice, but it is an indication that this plant is actually not root dominant. It's in a vegetative state, so it grows up here instead of if you have a plant that is root dominant, it will not shoot so long internodes. So this is an indication, and it goes with the general overview here, that this is not a soil that has a lot of good soil health. It's a conventional farm, and the biology probably just isn't there. So I would guess more of a root dominant plant will give shorter internodes and petioles, and overall give a more healthy plant. Another thing to look for is the ratio between the width and the length of the leaves, and I would think this is pretty good. They are pretty broad. I guess they could be more around. A wider leaf is an indication of healthier plant. This is it's not too bad, but I guess you could see leaves that were more rounded, more wide in the middle like this, which would indicate a healthier soil. You could also look at new leaves versus old. If we have a look at this is some new leaves, and they look pretty much the same as the old ones. Oh, sorry, the other way around. That was an old leaf. These are new. That's not too bad. This one is a bit narrow, but I would say not too bad. What is more difficult to see is the symmetry of the plant. A healthy plant will have a very good symmetry, and I don't think you can say that here. You have nodes and leaves and branches going everywhere. I'm not sure if you're able to really see that in a pea plant. You can see it in tomatoes, but my guess is you don't see a lot of symmetry here. So I'm trying to learn this. So if you say that, oh, that's obviously wrong, and oh, there's something you've been missing, you're not seeing properly, please comment and we will learn together, because this, as I mentioned, I think it's an extremely powerful technique to conclude what kind of deficiencies you have in the leaf. Actually, one more thing that I think you can have a look at is how the leaves are like this, for instance. If they are symmetric, when it comes to peas, they go around the stem like this, and that should be symmetric. This one is not. And also the edge of the leaf is kind of funky here. Let me see. It's not very well defined there. Other ones are better example. Like this one, for instance, it looks like it's coming around the stem in a symmetric way. Yeah. But it wouldn't be surprising to see less symmetry in the leaves, considering that this soil biology is not really what I'm aiming to establish. Now, I did mention before that I'm not going to add anything on this field right now, and the reason being, first of all, you can imagine going out with a tractor in this field when it's at this height. You will run down a lot So you will make a big damage to the crop just by running a tractor through it. And even though the spray is 24 meters wide, I still think, I don't know, it's going to be a lot of damage. And it could well be that the manganese deficiency is enough to motivate that. Please let me know if you think so. But I was also planning to apply compost tea to this place. But the fact being that the first time you apply compost tea, it's really, you may have an effect of 10% of what you have later, because you are starting up a new colony in the soil. And I remember Dr. Elaine Ingham comparing it with when the first people came to America with boats from England, that they were sick and tired after the long journey over sea. There were nothing there to, they had to build everything. They had to start farming their food. They had to build the houses and everything. And it turned out that maybe only 10% of them survived. The next ship that came, they were also tired from the trip, I guess. But when they came there were already houses and there were farms, and they had a much better chance of surviving. And the same thing applies when you start to build the soil biology. The first application, there is nothing there, so the bacteria and fungi that you apply has to start to build everything. And that would be the explanation why you have less of an effect on the first application. On the second application, you add bacteria and fungi to a structure that is already there, so they can just start to inhabit and more of them will survive. So in this case, making tracks in this field with a tractor for a 10% effect, no, I don't think so. So right now I'm leaning more into taking the harvest that I have here, because I think it looks fairly good. There's not much weed in it actually, so that is a good thing. I did weed it twice after sowing. Weeding in peas is a bit tricky. You have to be very careful what you're doing. We can actually see from the cabin, increasing the speed from 6 to 7 kilometers per hour did hurt the peas more. Actually, that was in linseed, but I think the same applies to peas here. That you need to keep the right speed, the right angle of the weeder, and just make sure that you are killing as much weed as possible without killing too much of the peas. And I think we did a good job there, because there's very little weed here. If you maybe a couple of leftover volunteers of rapeseed there, but and there is, you can't see it in the picture, but I know there is a bunch of thistles over there. But overall, this field has less weed than I would fear. So I'm actually planning to sow winter wheat on this field this fall, because of obviously peas is a very good crop to have before winter wheat. And I would be scared of putting winter wheat if I had a lot of weeds in it, because the weeds that grow in the fall, if you can't get to them with a weeder or something like that, there will be a major problem in the spring. And but since there are not so much weed in this field, I hope to be able to establish a good wheat field for the next year. The plan is to use shallow till after we have harvested the peas. Actually, I bought what do you call them? A trailer yesterday to pick up the forage, and I would like to pick up some of this straw after the combine, preferably to chop it and see if it's possible to pick it up with the trailer machine and use it for a compost. So if I gather some pea stems and I gather some straw from the wheat and I gather some grass from the grassland, I can use that to mix up compost, and also combine it with I have some actual peas left that I could grind and add as a nutrient source. So since I don't have any manure, I don't have any animals, so I will try to make a compost in the windrow just by using what I have. So and I've actually found out that I think I'm going to use this pickup machine to use it as a compost turner. That would be the world's cheapest compost turner. I don't have any picture of it here, but just letting the pickup run at the same time as the mat in the bottom is feeding out, so the compost will basically be picked up and dropped behind again. It will not be gathered like a professional compost turner is doing. It gathers the size and put it in the middle. It obviously won't do that, but at least for 400 euros I got a machine that I can use to turn a windrow compost, so why not give it a go. Alright, that's about it. I think I will come back in another video and have a look at the other crops. As I mentioned before, we were down here. I have a field over here with linseed. That has way much more problem with weeds. Linseed is very, very thin and cannot dominate over weeds at all. So there's a lot of issues with weeds there. Down here is a field of winter wheat. You know, this is not some weird surveyor. It's actually a stream, a river going here. That's why it has this funny shape. The former farmer called it the 7-star field because when he plowed it, he got 7 stars left here. So that's one way of putting it. This has enormous problem with weeds. It was sown, it was direct drilled this last fall, and because of the weather, he was not able to do a proper killing of the weeds in there. So the fall grown weeds are fully blossoming, and they were already this fall too big for the weeder to handle. So I tried to I use a rapid sowing machine with the vertical disc for fertilizers. I use them to cut down actually organic fertilizer. It's called Biofear. Maybe that's a Swedish thing, but it's an organic fertilizer. So I did manage to get 60 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare there. And the idea was also, since I was using both the fertilizer part and the drilling part, the seeding part of the machine for the Biofear, so I was to get out enough. It was still a problem to get that stuff through the machine, but it's there. And the idea was to cut up a bit of something to work with for the weeder, but it worked so. And then we had a rain of 70 millimeters, and it just made the soil like cement. So I had a situation where I had fully grown, fall-grown weeds standing in a soil that was basically cement, and there's no way to get a weeder to deal with that. So I just had to leave it and say, okay, I will harvest whatever comes out of it and be happy with it. The plan right now is to sow a ryegrass after the harvest, and I'm going to use one of these. It's called Westerwoldian. I think it's Italian ryegrass, but it's called Westerwoldian here in Sweden. And the point with that being that it's supposed to winter kill in our climate. If you just get a proper winter, it will winter kill, and it will be dead when I come there for the spring crop. And the other obvious advantage is it establishes very fast, and it can compete with the weeds. So if I get a shallow tillage done a couple of 3 times with a weed growing in between, I will be able to kill a lot of the weeds there, and hopefully the ryegrass will take care of the rest. The ryegrass does have a very good soil structure. It promotes mycorrhiza establishment, and hopefully it will winter kill. I'm going to try to talk with my representative of this on the seed. I need to have a plan B there. If it doesn't winter kill and there's still a stand that is good enough for saving, I would like to have a plan B of taking seeds from the ryegrass. But that's just in case it does overwinter. If we have a very mild winter, we don't know with this global warming thing going on, maybe we will have a very warm winter, and then the ryegrass will survive the winter. But the plan is for it to kill. On the linseed field up here, I am planning to have cover crops that I know will winter kill. Like I will save some peas from this field and use as a seed for this one. I will also use oil radish, and I may use also oats to establish something for the fall there. Those are supposed to winter kill, so they are more certain that it will winter kill. And also, they are. If I do a shallow till this spring, they will not survive it. The grass, I don't know how to kill grass with a shallow till. Maybe you know, you can tell me. But so that's the thinking about having a more certain winter kill cover crop after the linseed. And then maybe I will plant barley for this, malt barley. And down here I'm planning to use oats. Also the reason being, oats have a more of a better competition against the weeds. Now there are pigs down here. There are wild pigs down here. So and they are gonna love if I sow oats there. So we'll see. Maybe I can get some friends to hunt them off and reduce their numbers anyway. But they move over large areas, so, and they like this area. It's kind of a peaceful area down here by the river. So we'll see. If there's too many pigs, I will have to make an effort to try to kill them. I don't hunt myself, so I need to get friends who do. Okay, this has been taking a bit too long. Sorry about that. But next time we're going to look at the linseed and the winter wheat. Thank you.